Diddle-a-did-did-do. God dang, dude. Freaking waiting on damn Bert. Like always. Stay. Freaking man, I don't know, man. I don't know where Bert is, guys. We're supposed to do this freaking Live Free or Die Hard review today, and he's just freaking off. He's late. I've been waiting here about, 20 minutes now? Wait a minute. I got a plan. I think I know how. I did this thing on YouTube not too long ago, this little course. I think I can hack into his computer and see what he's doing. So let me see here. I just got to find the codes. Come down to the garage. I'll get you codes. All right, here we go. There he is. Hold on. Yep.
Oh, Mr. Iron Spider, what Brad don't know is I anticipated the bomb. So I faked my own death because I didn't want to be with Good Real Hunting anymore. I just want to spend more time with you, Mr. Iron Spider Funko. I love you so much.
Bert, what the? What's going on, guys and gals, and welcome to Good Real Hunting, where we hunt for the good reels so you don't have to. It's your boy Brad. The Brent Man's over here, and today we are reviewing Live Free or Die Hard to continue on with our Die Hard series. If you want to see the rest of our reviews, be sure to check them out. We'll put a link for them somewhere. So we'll do that, and we have a ranking coming up here in a week or two probably of the whole franchise. So stay tuned for that. If you have not seen this movie, or if you'd like to revisit it, you can find it on Amazon Prime. They have a 4K version for free there if you're a Prime member. Of course, it is the PG-13 version, unfortunately, but that's where you can locate this reel. Bert, go ahead and tell us a little bit about this thing.
Yeah, and if you do it on Amazon Prime as well, it has that 4K. I'm sure you mentioned it already. And it looks so freaking fantastic. So I highly suggest watching it on Amazon Prime.
Absolutely.
So let's dive into this bad boy. Live Free or Die Hard came out in 2007, which is directed by Len Wiseman. And we have a fantastic cast again with our boy Bruce Willis coming back to reprise his role as John Mcclain. And we also have Timothy Olyphant, Justin Long, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And again, I can't wait to talk about these four actors and actresses. And this is going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Right you are. So this movie is about, of course, John Mcclain coming back, tearing it up again. This time the stakes have never been higher for our favorite freaking detective from New York. It's not a small scale thing this time. He's saving the whole freaking country. He's now a superhero. He's got to take this little hacker kid down from New York down to Washington because the feds need to talk to him. And then all kinds of stuff goes on from there with our new villain. And we'll see how John can get us out of this mess. Brett, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you liked about this bad boy?
Oh, man. Where to even begin? Because there's a lot of positives I can go by, but I'm just going to stick to four main ones. The biggest positive for me is just like in Die Hard 3 with the riddles. I love that direction for a Die Hard film. I love the cyber terrorist storyline that they used for this Die Hard movie. Because again, this came out in 2007. The technology is so much more advanced than it was in 1995. And just to have just to play that into the role of this Die Hard story, just a fantastic choice. And just the scene where they use the president clips from all the presidents so they could get their message across.
And all the vital technology that this nation holds dear, all communications, transportation, the internet, connectivity.
Excellent editing job for whoever was responsible for that. So I will give you props. Another thing I liked, the chemistry between Matt, which is played by Justin Long, and John Mcclain. Their interaction was really, really strong. Probably not as strong as for John Zeus or John and Pal, but they still had a good dynamic. They are opposites, and you know how opposites attract. So I thought, again, they did a really good job, and Justin Long just did an excellent job with the Mac character. And of course, with every good guy, you have to have a great bad guy. And that's where Timothy Olyphant comes in playing the villain known as Thomas. Is that correct?
Yeah, Thomas. It's Thomas
Or just
Gabriel.
Thomas?
Yeah, Thomas Gabriel.
Yeah, within Thomas Gabriel, I was so invested in him, especially with him just being so brilliant with the technology and just to mess with John Mcclain. Excellent bad guy for John Mcclain to go up against. And of course, my last positive of the movie is Mary Elizabeth Winstead's performance as Lucy Mcclain. I thought she was a great casting choice. I'm always a fan of Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and I thought she just, again, every time she was on screen, she did a really good job.
Right, you are, and this was a big role for her at the time. It kind of put her on the map a little bit, I believe. I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean,
let us know in the comments section if that's true, because that's kind of like from what I'm remembering too of her.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, a lot of the same positives as you. I do like Bruce is a big positive. Bruce, not Bruce Campbell. Bruce Willis is a big positive in this one. He still brings his energy to the role of John Mcclain in this one. When he's getting into the car in the tunnel and he's like, "Yeah, I had to be a freaking senior detective. Couldn't have been a street cop. Oh, just go pick this guy up and take him to Washington. It'll be easy." Yeah, John. Freaking traffic jams to stop me. What the hell? All that stuff's great. And I like the introduction to his character in this one once again. It's kind of parallel to the first one where they throw him in and you see the issues he's having with Holly. They do the same thing with his daughter here. It's not quite as drawn out or quite as fleshed out, I should say. But it's kind of the same introduction to the character. And you could tell that he's just he's winding down his career at this point, and he's been quiet for some time too. I kind of like that. And of course, in this one, he's out of his element as a hero because it's a technology-driven plot with a villain, like you mentioned, and he's not a tech guy. He kind of shows that earlier in the movie where he's talking about his car getting low jacked, and he's like, "How do you guys know where I'm at?" and all that. And of course, that plays in later as well, but. And that's cool. I mean, and then, of course, the scene, enough of this kung fu bullshit, all that.
That's enough of this kung fu shit. I know bitches in my day.
I love that line. I was going to mention that line earlier, but I'm glad you brought it up because that is, to me, my favorite line out of the whole movie.
Yeah, dude, it was freaking awesome. I love that. The whole elevator sequence at the command center was great. It was a little over the top, sure, but it was fun. And I'm starting to think every single one of these movies has a pretty significant elevator scene in them, now that I think about it. So we'll see what the fifth one has in store for us in the elevators, but we'll get to that. Yeah, like you said, I like Justin Long as Matt as well. Good chemistry. I won't dig too much into that. You pretty much said all there is to say. Timothy Olyphant as Thomas Gabriel was fantastic. It's a fresh take on a villain with kind of the digital mastermind thing going on, which is nice. It's also quite terrifying to think that, so much could be taken over digitally like that. It's pretty scary stuff. It was cool. Fresh take. I liked it. We'll move on. And as far as Thomas Gabriel, you can kind of understand his motives a little bit as well. They did a good job of kind of putting his backstory into that, so you can kind of see where he is, why he's doing what he's doing. I like that. And he does a pretty good job of staying calm and collected throughout the movie too, which is nice. And lastly, I think this movie was paced very well. You have a lot of great action sequences. Again, some of them are over the top, but then you'll take a minute and slow down. Like whenever they're on the way to West Virginia, they just finished some crazy, like the tunnel scene, I think, some crazy. And then they're taking a nice stroll to West Virginia, and they have a really good moment of dialogue between Justin Long and Bruce Willis, where they're talking about why they're doing this and what makes them that guy and all that. It's really nice. And then same thing later. They go to the command center, they kill the kung fu lady, and then they go to Kevin Smith's place, the Warlock, which was a great cameo by Kevin Smith. And again, just kind of take some time to slow things down, let it breathe a little bit. And it's nice. It was comedic too, because with Boba Fett in there and all that, I like the character of Warlock and that cameo. But that is all for me in the positives.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the Thomas Gabriel's like his girl. because I thought she did a really good job too. If you don't, if some of y'all probably recognize her, she was just recently on Fantasy Island, that very garbage movie I'm not going to talk about from 2019. Came out on Valentine's Day, which was awkward as hell. But anyways, I thought she did a really good job with her role as well. Instead of just like the typical like henchman, she actually had her opportunities to kick ass in this movie as well.
She did, man. She picked up the slack that Katya left in the last one. She had some great moments. Like I said, yeah, her and Bruce duking it out. That was great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
but next time, she should take the stairs. Anyway, yeah, I do have some mixes. The biggest thing for me is the action, and I'm sure you may talk about this too. But I think some of the action was great and grounded. Some of it, like the first shootout they had in Justin's apartment, Matt's apartment, they really took the time to show both Bruce and the bad guys. They're changing mags and stuff, kind of keeping it realistic, sort of. I mean, that does get a little crazy there at the end of that, but I like that, the detail there of changing mags. A lot of movies kind of skip over that, and they did it multiple times. It was really cool.
And did you recognize when the Terminator doll landed on that keyboard? You could say that bad guy got terminated.
Oh my gosh. No, yeah, you could say that. I do like the physical, the hand-to-hand combat in this. Almost felt like some of the fights from the first one, like when, of course, you had the parkour guy in the ice room, but you had some other stuff too. They just felt kind of brutal, physical. They felt like real fights almost. Again, a little over the top at times, but the fights did feel natural. They were good sequences, but of course. Also, on the negative side of the action is it was way over the top at times. The jet scene was freaking ridiculous. The tunnel scene was crazy with the car going into the helicopter. That's impossible. Okay, because I know I've tried it 1,000 times in Grand Theft Auto, and I have never been able to pull it off. And I even use C4 to do it, and it doesn't work. But either way, that's it for me.
Okay, I got you, man. And hey, next time I have extra bullets for you, so you don't have to rely on the car with the chopper. But that's for another day. Yeah, I have some mixed aspects as well. The big one for me was the humor in this movie. It was about 50-50, where it landed on some good stuff, and other stuff it just kind of felt out of place. I'm like, I'm not sure that little line was needed. But the two main ones, we've already talked about the kung fu bullshit. Love that line. And then, of course, we tagged on it a little bit, but when Bruce Willis, John Mcclain, used that car to ran it into the helicopter, Matt Long is like, dude, she just took out that chopper. And John McClane's like, ran out of bullets. Just hilarious stuff. Again, 50-50. And the action was great at times. I know you dug into this already, so I'm not going to waste too much time. But yeah, I love more realistic action instead of that over-the-top action. Like, I really don't mind over-the-top as much, as long as it's just executed well. And it's executed okay, but I'm not going to give it too much of a positive on that. And the last thing for a mix, I wanted more Lucy. If you're going to get Mary as like a cast choice in this role, she should, to me, have more screen time. I was invested in the Lucy character, and I just felt like we haven't dug too deep into like her and John's relationship on why things went sour. So I would have loved to see more of her.
I agree. That's a good segue into my negative. If you don't mind, I'll go ahead and mention that. And
it's yours.
Okay. Yeah, my biggest negative is Lucy in this movie, not because of the performance or bringing her in, but because you introduce at the very beginning of the movie for like a couple minutes, and then she disappears until like the beginning of the third act. And at that point, when she's brought back in, when he calls John up, he's like, "Hey, here's your daughter." I forgot she was in the movie. I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot that she's been introduced as John's daughter here." So that was my biggest negative. I would have liked, kind of like you said, to see more of her. throughout the flick, and not seeing that disappearance at the beginning and then reemergence in the third act. I thought that was a little disappointing for me. I think it had some moments where, and then she just brought back to kind of a parallel of Holly in the first one, where she's a damsel in distress, being held captive by the villain, and then John's going to go in and save her. It's kind of it's really similar to the first one, where Holly gets taken.
Like the typical Die Hard cliche.
Yeah, well, first one, Holly gets taken at the beginning of the third act by Hans, and this is kind of the same thing, where he finds out who it is. And but that's pretty much it. Jet scene is another thing. I've already talked about that. That whole scene was not needed. They could have just had a chase that landed in the warehouse and been done with it. And it was just extra stuff, and it makes it unrealistic. I didn't even really enjoy the sequence. The tunnel scene I at least liked with the car. I thought that one was cool. And then lastly, I thought the music was kind of generic. Whereas, the first two, they had really good music sequences in it. And this one, they brought in some more generic action music, which is, I'm comparing it to the first one. It's going to lose that battle any day. But that's pretty much it, man. I had a good time with this movie. Overall, just didn't like the over-the-topness of some scene and the disappearance of Lucy.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, there's appropriate times to go over the top, and then there's like a franchise like Die Hard, where just the more real you approach with this type of movie, the better. So I totally agree with your negative on that. But for my two negatives, again, I've established this with Die Hard 3. Again, another long movie. I feel like there's a lot of certain scenes you could have taken out in this movie to shorten it without just losing the pace and the story behind that. And of the detectives, my other negative, very forgettable. Like, I can't even tell you like what their names are, and I can't even like recognize their faces really. And I've literally, as of recording of the 16th and watched it on the 15th, I can't even tell you or even can't point out like, oh, hey, that's a detective. So that was just a missed opportunity on that.
Yeah, man. Right you are, man. Is that everything you got?
Yeah, that's everything I got, man. Which, again, with you, I totally forgot how much of a fun time this movie is, and I really, really enjoyed it. I
did as well, man. I had a good time. You ready to score this thing out?
Let's score this bad boy. I am going to give this movie a 4 out of 5. Again, if you just a dark, rainy day or just want to see some good old action fun, pop in this movie, absolutely, and you are going to get that. Especially for Justin Long fans. I know there's a couple of our subscribers that are Justin Long fans, so this is your kind of movie.
Absolutely. I'm going to give it a 3.75, which should average this thing out to a good real score of...
But I want to go to the Tosche station to go get some power converters.
Absolutely. A trip to the Tosche station, which is a good time, ladies and gents.
And for you to go out and buy you a Blu-ray copy of this film.
Absolutely.
So, what did you all think about Die Hard 4, Live Free or Die Hard? Did you enjoy it as much as we did, and you didn't mind some of the over-topness that they did? Or are you on the negative side, and you thought just it was too much way over the top, and it just wasn't like your typical Die Hard film? Let us know in that comment section down below, because, again, we love to discuss anything movies, especially Die Hard, with you, the viewing audience.
Right you are. And if you want to help us find the good reels, you can do so by finding us on Facebook, Instagram, Letterboxd, Twitter, and Spotify and Apple Podcasts for our longer episodes.
Yeah, and definitely do that for sure. Absolutely. And be sure to like our video, share our video, subscribe to our channel. We are on that quest to 100 subs, so we can see our boy Matt Fauci and Filthy Dan rap for us. And of course, ring that bell, ding, 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 so you know when the next video is up, especially when we have one more Die Hard to tackle for a review and a ranking series coming up pretty soon.
Absolutely. Can't freaking wait for it, man. It's going to be a good time, so be sure. We will see you guys very soon.
Yeah, and now I'm going to get back to some unfinished business.
Don't even think about it, my friend.
Oh, come on. Fine. See you guys later.